Welcome to the second of our Google Sheets videos. In this video, we're going to primarily focus on formatting numbers as well as using formulas. So we're looking at a sales report that's getting constructed for a motorcycle company. And we're looking at various regions in the year and how much were their sales, comparing them, let's say, to the previous year. So as part of our report, we want to say, what was the change, year over year. So comparing the current year to the last year and seeing what kind of percentage change, increase or decrease. And then as a percentage of the total sales for the year 2014. So the first thing we would have to do is to make sure that we have a total for the year in all, and then we can sort of use that to find a percentage total for each of the different regions. One thing you might want to do when opening a file like this is to increase the size, if you want to be able to view it a little bit easier. This doesn't change the printable copy. This is not like changing the font size. This is just zooming in. So you've got the zoom button on your toolbar as well. In the view, you go to zoom and then you've got your options there as well. So yeah, so first thing we should do is probably continue here with the change. In our previous video, we looked at filling a formula. So taking the formula and going to the fill handle, and you can click and hold and drag down to fill that formula. So currently we see, and I love to click in the formula bar, then you get highlighted your cells. This orange B5, subtract C5. So take the current year minus the previous year. So the difference between the 2 years divided by the previous year. Then that'll tell you what your percent change is. So if we take that and we fill that down, and we go behind the scenes just to verify, we can see that it is really filling down. So here where it's B5 minus C5, the next cell we have B6 minus C6, B7 minus C7. And so in terms of our output or our report, this is like way too many digits. I don't think there's any business analyst that really needs that many digits. So we're going to want to show that, first of all, this is a percent. And secondly, we want to truncate or cut off some of those decimals. So let's highlight our area. Whoops. So you just click and drag to highlight the area. And then you've got a really quick set of tools here, which are pretty much going to cover everything that we want to do. You've also got format and number, and then you've got every possibility, including more formats where you can customize them. So let's just see what we can do from the toolbar. As I mentioned, we should definitely have a percentage sign here. And currently it's showing them as with 2 decimal places. You can use this button here to decrease the number, so to only have 1, or if you wanted a little bit more precision, then you can add more decimal places. So maybe we'll just leave it at 2. Our values here, when we're looking at North America, we're not talking about units. We're not saying 365,000 motorcycles are being sold. This is your dollar value. So we can highlight this whole area and not use percents, but here we're going to use dollars. And you can sort of decide whether it makes sense to have 2 decimal places or not. So perhaps in these ones, it makes sense to not have the decimal places if there aren't any pennies or, portions of a dollar being used. Otherwise, you can add those 2 decimal places, but take note that this guy's getting cut off here. So we would want to adjust the column. So you can click and drag in the column header with the double-headed arrow. See how when you go over top of it, it changes to a double-headed arrow. You just click and drag that so that the full value can fit inside that cell. So in order to achieve this percent change, we filled the formula down with percentage of 2014 sales. We need to reference this total amount that's here. So you're taking that B5, you're taking the amount in 2014 and dividing it by the total amount. So the problem that lies here, let's just use B9 here. If we had B5 minus divided by B9 and we fill this down, we end up getting like error messages. First of all, this is saying divide by 0. And if we look behind the scenes, it's trying to divide by B10, which is this cell here. The next one would be dividing by B11, which B11 is down here. So what we need to do is lock in this value for the total, where every time the formula gets filled down, you can advance down 1 row for the numerator or for the 2014 amount, but not for the total. That has to get locked in. So we can do that by using these dollar signs in front of the cell locator. So $B, $9, that locks in the value. And when I fill that formula down, even when I go to the next one, it went down to B6, but it still stays locked at B9. B7, but locked in at B9. So now that we've got our solutions here, we want to change the format so that they are percents. So we'll make them a percent, and yeah, that probably is good. It seems to me that, this might be a nice field to center the values. Typically you wouldn't center dollar values at all, but summative values like this could be centered, especially if the titles are already centered in the columns. I just wanted to refresh us a little bit on the formula for taking the sum. You could take C5 plus C6 plus C7 plus C8. You could take all those values and add them, but we did have a shortcut formula for that. So we're going to use sum. Sum is the shortcut for adding. So it's the reserved word. It's the name of the formula, if you will. But after you type sum, we absolutely have to have a bracket. So we need to know where's the first number in the list. So we'll find that here in C5, and you can just click. So, I mean, you could type it yourself, but you could just click. And some people will even like to just highlight the whole piece, because then it does insert that colon for you automatically. So it's going from C5 all the way down to C8, give us the sum, but you do have to enter that closing bracket. So you want to close that up, and then you'll see your total value projected. We have calculations also for average, maximum, and minimum. So this is finding the average of the 4 sales for the 4 different regions in 2014. So if we wanted to do that for For 2013, we would use average. We can see it popping up here. Open the bracket, and we'll go from C5 to C8, making sure not to include the total because we don't want to include that. That's not part of our sales. And so now we can see the average. For the maximum, it looks at the list and notice it's not maximum, it's just max. So this is giving you a helpful hint as to what the name of the formula is. So we're going with just max and C5 to C8. This is telling you what's the largest number in this list. So which is the largest number in this highlighted orange box? And through 14 is. So minimum is going to be the opposite. It'll show you what is the smallest number that's in this list. Oops. So this is a good opportunity to take a look at this. So we've got this error. You can go back up to the formula bar and just click in there and edit your formula. So the most common error, I think, is when it looks like this, where the Google Sheets thinks that you're just being a typewriter and you're just typing the words MIN. You, however, you're asking Sheets to be a calculator. So you have to have the equal sign first for any of your formulas. So this is looking really good. All of our numbers are formatted well. One thing that is can be interesting is to insert lines. So you go to the row header, not here inside the worksheet, just go to the row header and you can right click and you're going to insert either above or below. So in this case, I'm just going to insert a couple lines above. And I'm going to just put a little bit of text here and indicate when my report was printed on, because this kind of sales data can change very quickly. So it might be good, especially if this is the kind of report that's sitting on someone's desk and they want the updated numbers. If you have today and then open the bracket, put a space and close the bracket, then it's going to print out for you the actual today's date of when this has been generated, this report's been generated, or this report's been printed. And so let's say if next week we go and we open this file, we're going to see those numbers change. So today is actually December 11th. Yeah, so our next assignment you can find on Schoology, and you're going to find there's going to be quite a few more of the formulas for you and some numbers to format.